On. Whoop. Welcome everybody to another episode of Carbonite Bounty BS with me and the nerds here. How's everyone doing this week? So we got our John Williams in the air.
Oh yeah!
Welcome everybody to another episode of Carbonite. Air John Williams. You heard it.
Who's
Air,
got it? Who's on this
John
site?
Williams.
Is it me? Someone's on Facebook still.
Somebody's on Facebook. Air John Williams. You heard it.
Who's
Air
got it? On set!
We found
It's
it.
DP.
No, it can't be.
It's DP.
Let me.
Hold on.
Oh yeah. Hold on.
Now T's muted.
Let me
All right.
get that
I'll
out.
mute myself.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, guys. Man.
Welcome to podcasting, everybody. It's so fun. I'm glad. No, and I'm so great because DP bailed me out because I had a bunch of terrible, teaching a high school kid how to drive a stick shift situation. We got some lurching starts today. That's all right though. We're a professional bunch. We're fine.
Good. But yeah, welcome everybody. As you see, this is kind of our usual antics weekly. So before we even get into this fun one, I mean, I think this will be another one. This might be the record for most clipped up. So before we get into this episode 9 review, let's let our guy DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Yeah. This will definitely go into the archives for the bloops and the blunders and everything. It's nerdcyclopedia.com. People, make sure that you're going to that website and getting all your favorite follows out of our platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Nerdcyclopedia. We are on. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure that you're hitting that notification button. So anytime that we're on, that you know that we're on. Listen to us on your favorite podcast outlet and platform: iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, we are there. Also, if you like leaving us some feedback, we do have a Facebook group called Carbonite Bounty BS, a Star Wars group right on Facebook. So definitely leave us some feedback on there and chat with different Star Wars brethren and everything that that you love to do. And also make sure that you are leaving us some feedback at nerdcyclopedia.com. So we love getting your feedback and getting that input and telling us what you think of us.
Well said. And yeah, guys, as we finish up what we think is the Skywalker family saga, 8 movies later, and going into the 9th. I mean, my oh my, where do we start? So you know what? We're gonna start a little different this week. So we're actually gonna start with our guy Hitch.
Oh.
Yeah, so let's get your initial hot take on what you thought about episode 9, the ending.
Right, so I have some thoughts about this movie, and you people are going to sit here and listen to them. And that's how it's going to go. All right, so first things first. First off, he took the sunglasses off, just to let you guys know. So I'm not doing any production. This is how you know I'm paying attention to what I'm talking about. So I should be pretty direct. All right, so Rose. Why does Rose have the same amount of stuff to do in this movie as Princess Leia? Carrie Fisher, not able to do a lot of the stuff that you would expect an actor to do here. Not the case for Rose. She's reduced to this background character, and it almost feels like, there was a mea culpa here where they were like, we'll give Finn a different situation, a different interest. I did not care for that at all. And I think that's one of the big mistakes that this movie made, is it's this movie at the end of this trilogy instead of a completely different trilogy. I said, I know I texted you guys this stuff as I was watching it because I can't help myself. But this movie makes me feel Mandela affected. It wants you to believe you watched a different 3 movies than you actually did. I think it's crazy. It's like, how there was Sinbad did not make a movie in the 90s where he was a genie, right? But people seem to have this memory of it. This movie makes me think that maybe there were other Star Wars movies I didn't see that showcased the Knights of Ren and showed this emotional journey of Kylo Ren as he moved to the dark side and then back. You know what I mean? Instead, I saw The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, and then this movie, which made a lot less sense because it was after those two. I think that's one of the real problems with these movies. And I know that we've addressed this before, where it just seems like they made a left turn, then a right turn, and then they didn't know what to do. And then they just sort of were like, you know what? Palpatine's back. Like, it's just so late. It's pretty lazy.
Yeah.
And for him to have some sort of like secret Star Destroyer army on a planet doesn't make a lot of sense either, because how would he accumulate the resources, blah, 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 as a dead person? It's hard to do a lot of stuff. And I feel like, I feel like this movie is like the meta comment. It's hard to do a lot of stuff when you're dead. You know what I mean? And in this movie, characters, it doesn't matter. Live, dead, they can do anything. And sometimes they die for no reason. Apparently, the thing that makes you a Skywalker is dying for no reason whatsoever. You just die, and then you disappear.
You used it up. You used up your energy.
You're all used up. You used up your plot.
Yeah.
All your plot.
They have senzu beans in other shows. So.
Yeah, right. But and I think for me, the things I liked. All right, so I love seeing Lando Calrissian. I thought all the Lando stuff landed 10 out of 10. I love it. That was correct. Harrison Ford showing up not as a Force ghost, but as a memory again. I remember in the theater being like shocked that happened and so pleasantly surprised that they were able to land that. I believe the emotional journey that Kylo Ren goes on here for some reason. I think that's pretty decent. I think we actually see in the portrayal, and I think Adam Driver really does a great job here. We see the difference between Kylo and Ben, and we know Ben as a character, and we get such a small amount of screen time. He makes some Harrison Ford expressions that are just like very, very subtle and very, very accurate. I think just really, really excellent job there. I don't know. I feel like Palpatine, assuming his final form, which apparently was a smoking jacket out of Hugh Hefner's closet. Apparently that was the grotto he was down in on Exegol, the grotto. And he does that Force lightning thing, which, I don't know. It seems like if you ratchet up the power levels at a certain point, right, you end up in Dragon Ball Z territory. And I think we kind of got that here a little bit. But
that was known as a Force Storm. That's the new ability he had, a Force Storm.
Great.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
Yeah, right. More storms.
Yeah.
So here's the interest. We were also talking about this. Episode 3, right? We see Palpatine fight. Palpatine is the baddest ass person with a lightsaber in the entire series, right? Episode 6, inversion of that. He gets caught from behind, no ability to defend himself. Episode 9, I think he sees this coming. No lightsaber action for Palpatine.
Exactly. Come on, man. That's my gripe. This guy's a full form, and we don't see him pull a saber out. And this, I'll save mine.
Right.
DP, let's let you go, man. Let's you get it off real quick.
Okay. Well, it wasn't a bad movie, It was a movie, It had some sword lightsaber battles and everything, what you always you want to see in Star Wars and everything. It had your ships, your Millennium Falcon and everything, so flying through the air. J.J. Abrams always has some great, fight scenes and stuff. You had characters, Rey, Kylo Ren, Poe. They came back, from the previous movie. Yeah, I totally agree with Hitch. The reduction of Rose to just a minimal background character is egregious, compared to everything that we had with her from the previous movie and everything. Even the addition of Leia, I know she passed away during the production and everything. They could have did something better. They could have did something more, or maybe just not have her in the movie. It could have been something better done with that. It just was so apparent with every time that she came on screen how disconnected her relationships with the characters were. They were just pretty much just saying Leia this, Leia that, and she was saying, yeah, no, Force be with you, blah blah blah. If Fox worse, and then she's done with her, with her line delivery and everything. The Palpatine thing, the Palpatine thing is probably the most egregious thing I've most laziest thing I've ever I've seen in movie, in a big budget franchise in like a while and everything. Coming from everything that we've seen from like Clone Wars, the first trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and the middle trilogy and everything. Up until this right now, where we got no setup for Palpatine from like the Force Awakens, and I'm viewing this whole thing as a trilogy. From the Force Awakens, absolutely nothing in the Last Jedi, nothing, no type of wherewithal of okay, she could be Palpatine's long lost relative and everything. Palpatine is her long lost relative. And also, really, in this movie, no concrete explanation as to why she is his she's the granddaughter of Palpatine. I still don't know. I'm like so confused.
Her mother was his daughter.
Okay,
that's what we said.
No, her son was a clone. Her father was his son.
Okay, so you're saying something, and Ken is saying something. So we don't.
I'm just going by the dialogue in the film where they said, your mother was his daughter, was a Palpatine.
Okay, all right.
That's what they said.
That was probably one of the most glossed over lines that needed to be expanded and needed to be just fully fleshed out to the point where we're just like, okay, you just want to bring back a character that was beloved back from the first few films and everything, and say, okay, that he's like the big grand, bad guy and everything. We see this stuff on cartoon Saturday mornings all the time back from the 90s. Skeletor, Mum-Ra. We see all this bull crap and everything that, and we don't deserve it in 2020. When did this movie come out?
19 December
2019.
This is the last thing that happened in pop culture before the coronavirus.
Everything went downhill.
It was this, and then boom.
Yeah, exactly. The way it ended, the way they had all the ghosts and everything come back and mention all, whisper and everything to Rey. No, I don't. If you're gonna do that, maybe you should be showing like visual cues from each of these folks. It could have maybe landed a little better, but just to have whispers and stuff, I think they could have just left that out. Period. Rey. We were talking in the text messaging and everything about Rey. Daisy Ridley is the actress and everything. She's phenomenal as far as Rey in like the whole Force through Last Jedi through Rise and everything. But the injustice they do the character of Rey by not giving us very much background and information as to why she does some of the things that she does and can do some of the things that she does. I think it's just a lost opportunity for us to really invest in this character. And we'll talk about the quote unquote Mary Sue-ness of it later in this hour and everything. But they did a disservice to me as far as her character. And I wanted to invest so badly in her because I love the actress. I liked the character. I liked everything that surrounded her. I just needed a lot. I just needed a little bit more why, with her. But the movie isn't bad. It's visually gorgeous. It's a nice, visually, looking film. A lot of they should have killed Chewbacca. That should have been that. Yeah, that if you're going to tease and tease something up, and have something have stakes and everything, let it just be done. I remember being at the showing in the theater and everything. Okay, they killed Chewbacca. Oh, that was a heart-wrenching scene and everything. Now I'm invested. No, they brought him right back.
And Holly made a good point here, which is why couldn't Rey tell Chewie he was alive? You would imagine she would know that Chewie was still there.
She was conflicted because she had just been through this battle with Rey.
Not with his.
I quote provoked you. They don't. The mechanism of that connection is one, not properly established or explained, and two, apparently Palpatine just did it, and then he's talking about it like it is some rare thing. to me, if you're going to introduce a mechanic and explain it, you know what I mean, over multiple movies, it should be an integral piece, one, to the plot, and two, be very set. You should be able to track, oh, this is how it's been working the whole time, right? Again, this all takes me back to my bounce checks portion. Hold on here. Bounce checks. One of the this check. This is one of those checks they wrote in episode 7, right?
Yeah.
We should have seen it pay off in episode 9.
Yeah.
Doesn't pay off.
Yep. So it's much power that they're giving Rey throughout, like, you know, all 3 of these films and everything. For her, I mean, to Hitchens' point, for her not to know Chewie was still alive at that point, that's just a plot hole.
You can't even call
But
that.
I do know
Big enough. That's a plot hole big enough that you can fit the Sarlacc pit into. You know, I mean, it's
and a shock to have her do it like under the provocation of Kylo Ren, and for it to be like that. I mean, it would have made the stakes real high. And you know, Chewie is a character that's old, and in all these movies and beloved. And I know that there's a certain segment of our listenership that already knows that Chewbacca can die, and in many ways has encouraged us to tell everyone that Chewbacca did die on Cernpidol in the in the New Jedi Order series. So you know, we know that that's gonna punch. But when they just say, "We're just kidding," right? Oh, just kidding. Chewie's dead. Just kidding. Oh, the Force is for everyone. Just kidding. Oh, Rey is nobody. Just kidding. Kylo Ren is going to get over trying to become Darth Vader. Just kidding. A monkey can't craft a new mask for Kylo Ren. Just kidding. Lando Calrissian is no longer fertile. Very much just kidding. How about Lando throwing the game out there all through the movie? I love that. That's again, nobody's complaining about Lando Calrissian. We're all really happy about that.
Lando was awesome and everything.
So let me voice my opinion on this. So you guys have valid points. You know, if you're gonna like Hitch likes to say, if you're gonna cash a check, back it up, right? So when we watched the original trilogy, what were they explaining in there? I mean, they were dropping stuff to us like out of thin air, like the Force. What's that? Jedi. What's that? Sith. I don't know. What's that? Why is his lightsaber red? Why is his blue? They dropped things and it was on the screen and we soaked it up. So here's how I look at this last film. Not only was it the longest Star Wars film, lengthwise, they spent the most time in everything. They spent time in battles. They spent time with characters. They spent time with callbacks. They did what they needed to do. As I watched this film, I think I've seen this film maybe 5 times. Okay, like I said, my bad, but this one is the one I've seen least. But I think I'm going to ramp it up a little bit and watch it more, because to me, with a child, when you show them something, they do it like you tell them. Here's how to do it. You put this nut on this bolt. Here you go. The first time they get it right. Force Awakens was a nice rehash. It was a nice opening, but then you tell them to do it again, and they friggin' put the bolt on backwards. They can't get it right. So the Last Jedi was sort of it was the wobbly wheel. I think this one they played in the right sandbox. I think they got the story right. I think they did back things up. I think they wanted people I think they wanted that Palpatine presence. I mean, I think people wanted that evil to come back. Oh, come on, Team Edge. You want evil to come back, and that's
not the sort of thing that can just get dropped out of the sky.
I think
it's not so much, Ken. It's not so much as you wanted to come back. I'm glad to see Palpatine back if they built it to this point.
That's what I'm saying. And they didn't really they dropped us into this new story, which I think if you just watched 7, 6, skipped 7 and 8 and watched 9, I think you'd have a better vibe going. I think you'd have a better experience.
But that's not how you watch the movies.
No, they didn't make it not knowing about 7 and 8. It's not like they had no idea what movie just came out, right?
Yeah.
They're all the same people. All the actors knew. They did the lines.
I
But
mean, you're
keep
absolutely correct. You go from 6 to 9, it's a much better cohesive,
Yeah, great.
mess.
Yeah,
you
and it
know.
makes sense, and then you can go back and sort of like figure out, well, who's this new band of heroes? Who's the new
mm,
the new
yeah.
smuggler, and the new
Mm.
the new kid that's like sort of new just like new at all this, and
There's a
has their head in the clouds.
piece.
Yeah.
There's a
I-
missing piece.
There's a big missing piece.
And if you want to say, and again, I get, it's just the structure of these stories seems like it's not
In
right.
order.
But
There's
one more-
7 and then the 8, and it feels like those are like the same
rushed.
story.
They're
One
rushed.
story. That is
Yeah.
one story.
Yeah.
One story. 7, 8's one story. Like how we talk about like Rogue One and Episode 4 lead into each other.
Mhm.
Well, 7 and 8 do that. And there's a middle part to this story that's like
Missing.
the adventures of the big 3, right? The adventures of Finn, Rey, and Poe. That is the piece we don't see here.
That should have been from 7. I mean, that should have been between 8 and 9. Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
see it.
I
We see a
think
glimpse of
that's
that, right?
That's what I'm missing with like whole Rey's. Like, I need some more background with Rey.
Yeah.
I need some more time spent with Poe. I need some more time spent. Yes, it's missing. Those are our 3 main heroes and everything. A lot of their context and motivations is missing. They're just like dropped upon us and stuff.
Like A New Hope. This film had a lot of A New Hope style.
It was the beginning of a trilogy, is what it was.
Yeah.
They just
Mhm.
dropped it. And you know what? Myself personally, when I saw John Williams as a bartender, I was like, this is a win. This is a win. I'm in. That's fine. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Because he's turning around. He's like, these guys, these kids, why are they coming into my bar? And John Williams, right? The guy that's been there since the beginning is now in the end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a nice piece for me.
Always love to see John Williams, hear John Williams. One of those like he's one of those like artists where if there's no John Williams, like what we think sounds like heroism is completely and totally different. And that is a huge deal thing, because that's going to be like, he's got like musical archetypes that are going to go forward for generations. And what an incredible talent.
And even the new, at the end when they started to bring the Jakku theme in, with Rey, even at the Lars homestead, just that brought the connection back. And okay, so 7 and 8 were disconnected and disjointed. They didn't really hook up to this one, but I think there were a lot of things that we could all agree on that really tie the thing together. There were epic moments, like DP was saying, epic battles. I mean, who puts cavalry on a Star Destroyer?
Right.
Star Wars does. Star Wars does it because it's the last resort. It's the resistance.
That's a Clone Wars thing, right? Like that I feel like after watching Clone Wars, now I understand what they're doing and like how that's sort of an homage to those like Clone Wars era tactics. So it makes
but you know why that happened, right? So let's keep in mind, and I'm gonna give my review because you guys really summed it up basically. But I'm gonna be DP for this episode because this is how I look at this whole thing, right? You guys are giving these reviews. Keep in mind, bro, this isn't the movie that came out. Remember, this movie is a year and a half late. Colin Trevorrow's Episode 9 Duel of the Fates was canceled. So this whole movie was literally written in 7 months, and J.J. Abrams was called to save a burning building, and he literally made this movie in, I think, 8 months. The whole movie was reshot. Colin Trevorrow's, because if you talk about the Duel of the Fates script, when I was talking about making a left and going right, we were making another left turn. I mean, the damn nav, the Garmin was recalculating 3 times. So if we really got the Episode 9 that we were supposed to get, it would have been even worse. But to you guys' point on all the stuff you said, I'm gonna be the neutral here, man. He had nowhere to go with this. We're telling 2 different stories, and he tried to piece it together, but I mean, it was too late. This movie, there was just so much going on. They were trying to introduce things, and we had plot holes. The Knights of Ren were out of the movie. They came in. They look like these badass people, and then they're just walked at the end. They're thrown away. And to clarify, Rey's father was the Palpatine. He was a Palpatine clone. He was a Sidious clone, which makes it even more weak. So if he's half of Sidious or a clone, so a portion of, how does she get this immense power? But we'll get into that here a little bit soon.
I thought the mother looked more like Sidious than.
Yeah. But as we discussed, the only thing I'll say in this movie, it was put together. It looked cool. It wasn't on point at all. It was a dumpster fire. But I mean, he was for Abrams. I'll give him a pass on this because he was called to try to save a sinking ship. He had a lifeboat and he was trying to save the Titanic, and it just wasn't going to work. So I get it. And I said this during the chat. The thing I kind of thought, if this was the beginning of a trilogy, um, that whole dark Ray thing, I thought that could have really carried something. That she turned to the dark side, and Ben comes back, and the Skywalker
Yeah.
bloodline, and that realistically would have kind of got me.
And they have to get, and like the resistance has to get over the fact that it's Ben,
yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
it has to be Ben. There's nobody else,
Yeah,
and it's Leia's
Ray's
kid. So
turned bad. Yeah, so that would have been to me would have been the savior.
much more
And then,
interesting.
the whole Leia thing, I know we discussed this episode 8, so we find out she has Force powers. Now she's a Jedi Master that she can train Rey, and then she's strong enough now. So if Luke isn't this Grand Master, and this shows you how powerful Luke was, that he can train her to then actually project her life force to Ben to get a message portraying another person. So she's not Leia in front of him; she's projecting Harrison Ford in front of her son. So she's strong enough to project another person in front of her son to use her final life force, right? And you want me to believe, bro? That come on, that was her dying.
I think that part was kindly written because they had to do
First,
something that
come
was
on.
emotional.
I feel like that.
and
I feel like that works. That worked for me in the
yeah, that's a little nitpicky, Mitch.
the reason's simple,
It's
just because
nitpicky?
that's Harrison Ford basically standing in for Carrie Fisher, in addition to Han standing in for Luke.
Exactly, right.
I mean,
right.
I get
That's
that.
the situation.
Yeah,
I'm talking
He does
about
a
how
great job. Like Harrison Ford ever mails it in or stinks. He's always
yeah.
great.
It wasn't that. It wasn't the part. It's the power level thing that gets me, and we'll get into that. Like bro, these power levels are just there.
Power levels and everything. That really gets to you, huh?
How about
Because of Luke is this ultimate Jedi, and I have this girl who is a clone, right? So let's think about genetics. She's half of a Palpatine, so she has half of his power, but then she's stronger than Ben Solo, who is a direct family member of a Jedi. So how is she stronger than him? She's a clone's daughter, right? It just doesn't add up.
Well, isn't that because okay? So you have this innate ability, but then you have training, but then you have the emotional stuff too. Because remember, Jedi, you have to cut the emotion out. Sith is all emotion, isn't
Ben
it?
didn't have lightning though. Come on, man.
Again,
The lightning.
I don't think he got to that point. I don't.
I
think
missed
he
the
got there.
opportunity to explain this connection to them as being something that was like, something like with the immovable force, the irresistible force meets the immovable object, right?
Right.
They both just kept going all in into this, like, stop me and don't, this whole thing, and it smashed them together. And then Rey knows a bunch of stuff Ben knows, and their powers are sort of like multiplying on top of each other. But now we just hear that Palpatine did it. It's like, oh, who decided that we should have a big stupid ship that could get blown up? Oh, Palpatine did that. Well, who decided that they should just figure out that you can use E equals MC squared, and you can use a hyperspace jump to inflict serious, huge damage on an entire fleet? Palpatine figured that out. Well, who decided that they should spend a significant piece of the middle movie with a character who's barely in the third movie, and then they should be in a gambling place for no reason? Palpatine decided that too, apparently. Palpatine was busy in the galaxy far, far away, ruining
lives.
And nobody knew this for like the first two movies. No wherewithal. Nothing about Palpatine.
No.
The First Order is not looking for Palpatine.
No.
It's not like when and it'd be one thing if when Snoke gets it in 8, right? They hear Palpatine or see Palpatine like show up to and reveal themselves, right?
Or something like that. Okay, so Palpatine is nothing.
So it's just and I think that the problem is that it's obvious, and maybe you're right to your point, T Mitch, that there's just no way to land this plane. It's just going to crash.
There's nothing you can do.
And I could see that, like I said, there's just a big missing piece here. But what's interesting to me is that I think that now the Star Wars TV is starting to backfill this gap, where now we're sitting around and the stories that are being told on the Star Wars TV are the right type of stories. The Luke Skywalker we're seeing on the Star Wars TV is the right Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're seeing all the right sort of stuff now. So this movie, it feels like sort of an artifact of a bygone era already, because Star Wars has already moved beyond the events of this trilogy to, the subsequent stuff. And yeah.
I mean, it's as far as like, meta stuff and everything. They didn't need Palpatine in this movie. They could have arced Kylo Ren is because he became supreme leader in the last movie and stuff. It would be something that was sort of more heightened in this movie, and that conflict between his Ben Solo side and his Kylo Ren side was supposed to be like the big thing that that Rey is sort of like trying to either take down or trying to like compromise and stuff. So you didn't need Palpatine. You just didn't need him. He made the movie like a cartoon to where it was, I mean, to me, it was just totally unnecessary. I understand the nostalgic stuff, bringing back that, but you didn't need him based on you talking about trying to land a plane. Come on, take elements from the first two stuff and land it better than what you did. I understand like the house is burning and everything, but you still got a lot of water, that can save, parts and elements. Just don't disregard everything.
They had the savior.
Like just the three characters, and that's basically it. Like you said, the Rey should there should have been a lot more conflict with Rey's light and dark side. We only get like flashes of that throughout the whole. Well, I'm sorry, just on this film, but none of that throughout like the whole trilogy. Nothing. She's just pretty much this. And I guess we're we could talk about the quote unquote Mary Sue. We get her as this power level, this just being adept and just in tune with everything. How does she learn how to ride a skimmer? How does she know how to do this? How does she know how to fight so well? How does she know how to just be this great character? Where like I said, where's the why in that?
She was a pilot, so she could basically fly anything.
Anakin could do that.
Her.
I'm totally fine with that.
I mean, she could do anything. And I'll tell you, so the Palpatine, you said we don't need Palpatine, but we do. So even the First Order, I never had the buy-in for me. I didn't think Hux, none of that was anywhere near the power level.
You mean
of what
Hux was the guy from Rebels?
No, First Order was nothing like.
Yeah, they were nothing. So how are they even running? Because they're just, to me, just a bunch of angry children with guns.
So why does Palpatine want this First Order to rise even more? He's mentioned it in the movie. Okay, rise, First Order, rise, and everything.
But DC, he's been running it the whole time. Snoke was a clone of Palpatine, so he was projecting. That's why this is.
There was a container of Snoke's, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
it was a container. He was projecting himself, like Luke, like Leia. Everybody had this now projection ability, so he's projecting himself across the galaxy through the unknown regions. That's how he ran the First Order. That's how he got in their head allegedly. So that's what I'm saying. Like this whole power level, they just made this stuff like Dragon Ball Z characterish.
I like the freezer,
like a cartoon in a way.
Yes, I was like,
I cannot feel you. Your Palpatine. Palpatine is beloved, but here's my point. We've seen how ruthless Palpatine was and strategic from the Clone Wars. This is a very methodical, very oh man, he's such. I mean, I had so much respect for him from the prequel, trilogy stuff to like the Clone Wars stuff. The stuff that they reduce him to just some like evil maniac in this film and everything, that's just like
where your critique should go. End of Jedi. How did this all-powerful evil being get duped and get blindsided, and his son picked him up and threw him over a banister? That's where you should start the dagger of the story and say, no. That's not how that would have gone.
I actually do have my critiques with that, but that was made at a time where you just didn't have a lot of story fleshed out. So I give those movies a pass.
Yeah, but I
give them a pass. Okay.
So he was.
I can't give this a pass, kid, because they know. They know now. They know.
But it ain't even that. So at the end of Return of the Jedi, right? It's an old Palpatine. He's not full power. His body, as we know, is dying, which is why this whole technology and these clones are happening because he needs to transfer his body to something else, which was the actual meaning of Episode 9, the Duel of the Fates. This whole movie was going to be Palpatine basically as a Sith ghost, and he was going to project himself into different bodies. And they didn't go that route. They canceled Javaros. So the whole idea of him dying there was his body was dying, he was losing power. So to me and Hitch's point, at the end of this, when he drains their power and he is the most powerful, so how does he take all your power, right? And is the strongest? You
He
get some
steals your
power back.
swag.
Yeah, he steals your swag, right? He puts on the red and the Jordans and all.
Right? Yeah, he's got the Jordans, he's got the red robe, he's got
Gold
the yellow
chain.
eyes, and he's got
got
the
it
lightning.
back. He got back his. I mean, he stole it from
Right.
Ray and Ben.
And then
the power of 2 became the power of 1. You know, he started to talk like real. What was that movie? What was that TV show in the 90s? Came on after Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Was the witches? They were sisters. Power of
was it the
3.
Waverly Witches or something? I
Charm.
don't know.
Was it
Charm. He's talking about Charm.
Charm. So
Yeah.
they took that. They took the power of 2 to the power of 1, and he absorbed the good, turned it evil. He actually he took the evil out of both his granddaughter and Solo's son, and absorbed it and brought himself back. So maybe that was the kicker. That was
Okay. I get that. So he's super strong, and then so how do you explain that she like Goku like takes all the Jedi from history? There's some kind of essence out of the sky, powers herself up to not even fight this guy, but just affect the strongest Force lightning you've probably ever seen. We thought Mace Windu got hit. Like this guy hit her with like.
Why does having a second lightsaber help her there? And why isn't that damn and this is another Holly catch, you ready? Why the hell isn't that stupid lightsaber green? Why isn't it Luke's actual green stupid lightsaber and Leia's lightsaber? Because that's Anakin's blue lightsaber,
Anakin, right.
not
And
Luke's
why-
blue lightsaber.
And
And
why
they
is
say
it
they say
red?
explicitly that it's Luke's, which is
Yeah.
just factually wrong.
And
He
it
used
was-
it for a bit, but Luke
it was
made
the-
that green one from
It was
Jedi.
the handles. So it was Leia's handle and Luke's handle, and that's where the power was. That's what it needed. That's what she needed to fight the lightning.
Oh, so now
Yeah, that's what
lightsabers
it
have
was.
power. Okay, come on, DP. You see this, right?
Ken, you are so forgiving. God
He
bless
is.
you, man. You are so
He's,
It's
he's
okay.
good.
forgiving. I feel you. You are hardcore. You know, you're into it. Hey,
I
I'm
can't give this
like
a
that.
pass.
I'm like that with a lot of stuff too. You know, MCU stuff. Hey,
Endgame.
yeah, I'm very forgiving on Endgame.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, there's
And-
something that you love, that you're passionate about, and I get the story. And for me, I think they got back to it with this. I mean, I really do. I
They
think they got
tried.
back to
They
the
tried. You know, they
Yeah.
tried and everything.
So Ken, with you being so forgiving, how do you forgive the fact that we find out that Finn should have been trained as a Jedi? He has the Force. Oh, let's just write that off real quick, right? Oh, let's just write that off. He's been having the Force the whole time, which is why he had the lightsaber. He was waiting to get trained. He should be in Episode 10 or this Rey series, but let's just forget about it.
Well, you know, I guess they wanted to make him more of a fighter character, more than, I mean, not the hero.
But we found out he had the Force within the first 5 minutes of the movie, of this trilogy.
And what did he do? He saved the day. So we still understand that he has Force ability. What do you want him flying around with a lightsaber? I mean, is that all it takes? Is that what a Jedi is?
This should have been the beginning of the new Jedi, as well. I thought. So the ending crawl, I would have expected to see him there. I would expect to see Rey with her black lightsaber. That the one I bought is now silver, which isn't the color I bought. And
Send it back.
I expected to see Ben Solo. I didn't expect him to die, and I don't know. I still don't think he's dead.
The whole Ben Solo dying, him kissing, you know, Ray kiss.
You can't kiss a girl if you want to live. That's just how.
That's just how it is.
So
that was
the whole this thing that they have together, that, you know, they're seeing each other and stuff. That was carried over from the previous movie, where I guess they felt they had to still continue that. They added some elements where, you know, that they can pass stuff on to each other. So I guess with the lightsaber thing, was that what we're supposed to believe, that Rey was passing that over on, you know, over to Rey in that one battle? Is that what happened?
Remember their whole connection? Now they can not only just see each other through visions, but they can pass
They can
physical
pass
objects.
physical objects through their visions.
Right. I mean,
And this is a movie about space wizards, right? So let's be clear.
Okay.
This is a movie about space wizards in space.
Okay.
And
they can do whatever they
You
want.
shouldn't take it that seriously, Hitch. No.
I mean, at no point in time do they explain how that's friggin' possible, or that it's plausible, or that, like, you know, any of these things are actually physically moving back and forth.
So why is yours silver?
That's the color they reduced. They made them. So this is the Galaxy's Edge saber that's raised, but in the movie it's black. It was sick. I was like, oh my god, it's a black saber. And then the one that they produced for everybody is gray. That's not the color it's supposed to be.
Maybe you're supposed to paint it yourself. Was there paint in the box?
I wish, man. But literally, they talked about it on the message boards and everything. I have no clue why it's this color. It's supposed to be black because it was black in the movie.
Is it heavy?
Yeah, it's decently heavy. I mean, it's one of the legacy sabers, so it's a great quality build, but it's just not the color I expected when I seen it.
Did anybody else think at the end of the Battle of Exegol that there were only 3 of them left? Period. And they were like, "All right, let's get out of here." And then they zoom up, and it's like, "Oh, everyone else is fine too." You know what I mean?
Well, they had to give DP his endgame moment, so they had to, you know.
They tried and failed with that one. You know?
I mean, they connected stuff right there in that scene, like Rey
you saw the
Red 5 with
you
the
saw the
helmet
ghost there.
I like that. I like that, kid. I get it.
Force Awakens.
I like that. I like that.
The Force Awakens, when she's sitting in the Star Destroyer engine bell, she had the Rebel helmet that she was sitting on, and then there was the little Rebel voodoo doll thing that she had, the little toy that she had in there. So that connected back to me. So they did try. They did try to connect back and, you know, make things make sense in a very good way.
Where's Broom Boy at? Anybody know where he went? He had the Force. You don't remember that?
Is he an Empress or a Grand Duchess of the Empire? If not, I guess he can get effed because he does not have the Force, since this is reserved for royalty.
Yeah. Broom Boy had the Force. Remember that at the end of the episode 8?
Yeah, that was great. That made a statement about what the Force was and who could have it. And it said something about the distribution of talent, which, as we know, is equal across all populations, given a large enough sample size. So it made a lot of sense to me. And them going back on that explicitly here felt like a betrayal, not just of me, the person that put a lot of time into watching episode 8, but the Star Wars fan that believes in, you know, 1, representative democracy, and 2, you know, that people should essentially be considered created equal. That's just kind of how it is. I don't believe in aristocracy. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's a waste of effort. And so for them to go basically and say all that stuff we said about how there is no aristocracy in the Force is total BS, and the most powerful person in the Force is Empress Palpatine.
Empress Palpatine.
But until they say the words Empress Palpatine, ain't the case. After they crown her, after Sheev crowns her, now all of a sudden she can stand up to him.
So what if she did decide? What if she did strike him down?
You had an episode 10 there, and you had something to build on. Is what you had.
So
a shocking conclusion. A shocking conclusion.
Would that be a more positive ending? Like if she said, "Yeah, you know what? Cut him in half, absorb his energy, take over the throne."
Yeah. You have an arc. You have a much better arc than what they came up with. I mean, that's not how the hero's journey is supposed to go, and you're supposed to just leave it at that. But yes, you have a better character building arc with Rey. You know,
because Palpatine even said, if you do this, you can decide to save your friends, because he said this battle's done. The resistance is finished. But if you take this mantle, if you take this challenge, strike me down, absorb me into your body, you can decide what you want to do. You could take over this grand empire, or you could save your friends. He gave her that option, didn't he?
It would have been a much better.
You had a whole new trilogy.
Justified Palpatine's interest for that reason alone. It would have justified Palpatine being in this movie as a catalyst to make Rey actually much darker than what they presented her throughout this whole trilogy and everything. Much better. Yes.
Think about it.
I want that movie.
But that's what I'm saying. Then you had that because you had Empress Palpatine, and then you had Finn. they can be working with Ben, and there's 2 Jedis to start. Not to mention we have Ezra Bridger somewhere in the unknown region, so that's 3 Jedi that are alive. Ahsoka Tano is maybe alive in this time frame, I'm pretty sure, because her voice wasn't heard. So that's 4 Jedi that you have spread all across the galaxy. That now you have something to build. You have your super powerful Empress, and then you have the beginning of the new Jedi Order.
But instead, we got just kidding.
But Filoni's not anywhere near any of this.
He wasn't this. He wasn't. Rebels ended in 2018.
I watched those credits, man. Filoni's name was not in that.
He wasn't in it, but he was around. He was around.
That doesn't count. You know.
I don't know. I don't know.
They put him in a They put him in a fridge. They fridged him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was definitely a bad robot production.
Keep in mind though. Yeah. This is the one that George Lucas didn't show up to. He was not invited to Star Wars Celebration, so he didn't show up and watch this movie.
Yeah.
But they're really just trying to move on from this trilogy. They wrote this to basically say, look, we're just closing the book on that. We're going to use something different. Everybody, it's going to be different. This is a conclusion. We're going to conclude everything. Is it going to be perfect? No. I could sit here and try to reason out what actually happened for, an hour, but DP's going to get it right the first time in 3 seconds and just said it's bad writing. And then we'll be correct.
Yeah,
like always.
Yeah.
Because he's smart.
Yeah.
He's a very smart guy.
He is.
They have no idea what they're going to do. They have no idea where they're going to go. So they're going, where do you go when you have no idea where you're going to go? Back in the past, So they're doing all that. And I have no idea if we're talking about like moving on from this.
We're not done.
But what is next? What is next?
Yeah, what do you mean? It's Rey on Disney Plus, and we continue her story. She's already signed on. She can't get work. Daisy Ridley has been on Twitter recently. She's got back on.
I was gonna be funny and try to say, okay, they need a Rey series.
They are. It's coming.
It's doing.
It's coming.
Really?
It's coming.
Wow.
Adam Driver has tuned up. Adam Driver said he will reprise Ben Solo if they need him to play that part as well. John Boyega is softening his stance on being anti-Disney Plus and potentially coming back. Oscar Isaacs is on the payroll right now, so it only makes sense.
Yeah. He's already doing TV for Disney. What's the difference? Go down the street. I would watch a post series. I would watch that series that fills in that gap I was saying, right? That shows the 3 of them on missions, working together, building teamwork, giving me emotional investment so that at the end when they hold hands, I actually give a shit and I don't think, why do these people act like they know each other instead of not? Because they should.
This is your Rogue Squadron kind of, right? Because we found out he was like a spice runner. So this is like the story, like the Han Solo, like the mid story that we wanted with Han that you can get with Poe. We can see him as a spice runner becoming a member of
we could see Finn, a lot more of Finn's background, how he became like a stormtrooper and everything, how all that went down, and what the one character was like. What did she say? She said the whole company put their arms down because they was about the
what was her name? Jana,
something like that, because they were about to have us kill civilians or something like that.
And I'm supposed to think. So when Lando was interacting with her at the end, he was just going to like find out her like where she came from, or is there like going to be a connection there with him and her?
I don't think Billy D. Williams can be acting with somebody and there not be a connection. I think they're not supposed to be, but Billy he's just so smooth. You're just thinking to yourself, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be his daughter. I don't know if they didn't write that in there, but I thought that was his daughter.
So like Hitch said, the way the way Billy D is and everything, you just sort of just intimate that connection there because he's just that good. As Lando,
he is great.
It brings you in. It's such a warm presence that he brings to that character, and I think he really makes you understand why everybody likes Lando Calrissian. Everybody likes him. He gets like people want him to be in charge. People want him to. Like when the cops get him, they want him to get away. Pretty much, that's why he's so good.
He's such a great replacement for Han Solo in that in a Falcon and everything. Converse with Chewie and stuff. That was just such a natural progression. If you want to call it that. He was great. Throughout when he showed up throughout the movie and everything. But yeah, with this potential race here, they have a lot. They have a lot there. So if that's the next chapter, I'm basically talking about the next Star Wars movie. I want to know what
they're going back. What is it? It's 2,000 years.
Yeah, it's going to be High Republic. So during the time when the Jedi were plentiful, The Jedi were plentiful and arrogant, but correctly arrogant.
So
They
they're
should be
gonna do,
arrogant.
like,
They're winning.
the Xbox game.
Yeah.
No,
It's
there
the
was
middle.
no. That's the Old Republic, and they won't do the Old Republic because you see how we're starting these movies. Well, there's guys like me, Hitch, and Ken, who know the Old Republic like the back of our hand, and they're scared to do that because of what we're saying now. They'll ruin it. Because we know all
The
the facts.
nerds that know that stuff are the
Yeah.
real tip of they're the real tip of the spear for Star Wars nerds. That's the
So-
people like DP. That's like Thomas. He loves the Old Republic, right?
if you get
Loves it.
Old
That's his
Republic-
number one. He'll talk about if you talk to him about Star Wars, he will inevitably bring up Coder.
Oh,
it will
yeah,
happen
yeah.
for sure.
So if they mess up the character Revan, which they've like deep faked Keanu Reeves playing him and all this stuff,
that would be great.
there's just too much material there for people like us that bro we would shred the movie apart because you can't mess that up because it's literally all written. So the script is written, they just got to put it on a motion picture screen, and knowing Disney, they would try to go left,
Mess it up. They're trying to change it. Yeah.
Well, it's like well, you know how it is with Star Wars. If you know what you want from the movie, you're wrong.
Correct.
Well, you know what I'd like to see then? I'd like to see this next, whatever the next movie is, from like basically what it is, the droids. The main thing that for me, a fan, the droids are the ones that have been there the whole time. And their characters have been 100% consistent. I mean, we all got to admit that. No one's messing around with R2-D2 or C-3PO. That's it. They are the
C-3PO is
bottom
white,
line.
remember?
Huh?
I literally could not have given less of a crap of them wiping him in like the last
they
45
wiped him.
minutes. They gave him that big speech, and I was just like, turn him off while he's talking. Just do it. Just turn
the
the switch.
moment right there, though. That was a Star Wars moment when what are you doing? Poe's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm looking at my best friends for the last time. I mean, that was Star Wars. That was
that
was a moment.
that kind of hurt a little bit, but then I'm like, well, R2 has a backup, so let's just boot him back up.
We didn't know what we didn't know
it
that.
was another cruiser and everything. That's how Chewbacca got his butt saved and everything, because it was another one off to the side there. So
that was a trick.
No way.
Extra.
Yeah. It was no way.
Now, how would you have known to bring two though, DP? Explain it to me. How would you? You're just like, it's bad writing.
Yeah.
Maybe they did that in a bad afternoon. Maybe everyone.
Hey, you guys are forgetting something. What about the Force heal from the video games on the
my
worm?
God.
DP, come on, man. Even Ken, you can't like the Force heal, man. Come on. But she's not. See, DP, she's not overpowered. She's
Right.
Force healing, right?
No, Grogu did it too.
Yeah.
She
Remember 2 days before the movie came out, they made sure that Grogu was they made sure that they showed you that was a actual power there, and then they presented the movie.
It's been on the video games for 10 years.
Yeah, that's dark energy right there. I mean, that's Sith stuff. Bringing people back from death. Right?
Healing has always been a Jedi power.
That's
it's
a
always
Jedi power.
like, isn't that what
Well,
Obi-Wan's doing with Luke
Yeah.
once he gets smacked by the Sand People in A New Hope? And he goes up to him and he does the whole, Force heal.
Well, that was more like bringing him back from a concussion. That wasn't really there wasn't really any, internal damage. I mean, Kylo was run through with a lightsaber, and she did it. So this was funny. This was a problem I had. You're the good guy. There's the bad guy. Good guy kills bad guy. Good girl kills bad guy. Good girl heals bad guy. Why?
But then you don't heal him at the end though.
Right. You don't heal him at the end.
After he climbs
out
out of the Sarlacc pit himself.
Yeah. So there was some conflict there that I thought didn't really make sense. Why did she do it there, but she didn't do it at the end? And
I wanted to see Ben atone for his crimes. I feel like just disappearing into the Force is just like going to heaven. Like you know what I mean? Like he's
high
just
treason, right?
not just high treason. I mean, xenocide. I mean, he blew up planets. Like that's got to be at least a paddling. You can't just let people blow up whatever planet they want. Yeah. Oh, you better blow up a planet. That's a paddling.
That's a paddling.
You try to usurp the Emperor. That's a paddling.
Yeah, but keep in mind, like we saw with Luke, it's more of a myth, right? The guy could have literally came back and they wouldn't know who Ben Solo was, right? So that could have been a redemption. This Jedi shows up, who's this Ben Solo? Oh, he helped, finally destroy the Empire, the Emperor this time. with Rey. So they could have maybe
The double name thing always left that open, right? Because
Yeah,
I know
right?
that was a question from the old days. Was how does the public know Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker are the same person? So like if he's always in that stupid mask, then everybody would assume that's Kylo Ren, and he can just walk away from that life. But morally, I mean, he has to be in some ways culpable for his incredible crimes against life in the galaxy far, far away. I mean, goodness gracious. So I get that he really probably shouldn't live, but isn't that he died just sort of perpetuate the cycle? I mean, shouldn't there be some sort of investigation of how this happened, how the Emperor was allowed to return and murder?
So
they blow up 7 planets here, so 7, what we'll call it, 70 billion beings.
You want to bring back the Senate? You
Yes.
want to bring all that.
I'm going to bring back the corruption of the Senate, the corruption and deadlock of the
all
Senate.
back, and then we'll get another Jar Jar that's going to give power over to
Jar Jar Binks.
some new, lascivious figure that's coming out from the depths. You want to
make
get
It's got to be something, though. You'll say I mean, that is their democratic system there.
I mean, 10,000 years is a long time for the Republic to have worked out, and for it to have gone wrong for about 50. I mean, you see the scale there. It kind of brings that into into focus for you.
You know what? You're right. It does bring it into perspective, because here's something that lasted 2,000 years, and we don't know everything about it, but it ran pretty good. There was still mafia. There were gangsters. There were there were things. There was evil that was still going, but it ran pretty well, pretty equal to everybody. And then all of a sudden, bang! You had this evil force just rose up and erased the whole thing. Order 66 came out of nowhere,
Right?
Didn't it? It was like, what's that? And then they did it again with the who was given the death sentence. It was some other order. It was Order 42 or something.
The final order.
The final order.
And that was just going out and blowing up all the planets.
Everything. Just annihilate everything. And that, I mean,
the final
if you're evil, that's what you got to do. You just got to destroy it.
I just think it's funny that
it's just such a paper 90s type cartoon 80s trash. Like, okay, this is the simplest final order. That's the simplest. That is really where you guys want to go with this.
A final order.
You couldn't think of a second number?
It's like Goku's it's like I said, it's a Dragon Ball Z. It's the final form, right? It's their final form. This is it.
Yeah, there's some
order.
I wanted a little bit more politics, a little bit more, a little bit more death in my evilness.
Let me ask you this, DP.
Okay, well, that's just the way it is.
Let me ask you this, DP. Who runs the Republic? Who's running that Republic? Anybody? Because apparently there's this enormous population of inner core planets that you can go and just say, hey, all the people show up with your pleasure cruise ships, and we'll just destroy all these Star Destroyers. And the problem is there's so many of them that you can't do anything about it. That population is being governed by someone. We don't even know anything about who that is or what they're doing or why the First Order wants to get them or what type of government there is.
First Order has no idea. They're like, how did they get all these? Where did they get a Navy from?
Well, they said they're just people. That the commander was like, he's like, who's this Navy? Who's this Army? No, they're just people.
And the final order, I mean, the First Order hasn't broken them down. I don't know about that one, Ken.
So
this is a fun trilogy. I just wish I would have seen the rest of it.
You know what the funny part about this is, though? So it's only Jedi can get to the unknown regions, right? So how the hell does everybody else? Literally, like if you read the comics, if you read the books, the unknown regions are like impossible to find.
Well, so, did Lando and Chewie brought them in? They gave them the coordinates, right? That's how they did it.
But they can't get through. You need the Force to get through because of literally the way that you get through. You need
everybody has the Force, though. I mean,
if you said Finn let him in, I would believe that semi because Finn had the Force, right? So Finn led the whole battalion.
Or Ahsoka could do it, or any of the extant Jedi. Grogu could be out there doing it. There's plenty of characters that could be.
Think about it, right? If we're doing this projection, so once again, where's Ezra? Because we know Ezra's alive at this point. So
the real miss here is that they're not. When they say go find our allies, they should just be using names. We have plenty of ancillary characters that they could be going to meet with that could be fulfilling the role that of like contact. So just use the stupid name. Ah,
Din
they're
Djarin.
vague when they shouldn't be vague, and specific when they shouldn't be specific. It's a real issue for them in this
We
film.
needed a Din Djarin cameo. Is what we needed. We would have been good.
Old, just creaking around.
Yeah. I'll just geek out real quick here. So Billy Lord was she wearing at the end Leia's Endor Commando outfit?
Something like it.
I think I think a version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was kind of cool because it kind of connected things. Like the end to me kind of brought back that vibe, the feel. Like the good guys won. Look at all these different worlds that now are released from this tyranny. We saw Bespin. We saw what other planet? We saw what other planets we see? We saw Endor. We saw Ewoks.
Yeah, we saw Ewoks.
We love Ewoks. Who doesn't love Ewoks?
Although their moon probably got messed up pretty good when that Death Star crashed into it. I bet their environment's not doing so great. I mean, that thing was probably the size of like, a pretty good sized meteorite. Yeah,
well,
a small moon. A moon hitting a moon. It's not like it would devastate it. I mean, it should have been messed up. And hey, here's my question. This is a question I had. That stupid dagger was based on like the silhouette of the wreckage of the Death Star from a specific perspective.
How cool was that? That was great. And she
real cool
piece out, and that like brought it like pointed
this ancient dagger.
Dude, that was a moment right there.
I told you. Well, the ending had me. The fact that you don't show like the Force Ghost of Ben Solo, you don't show Luke. Like,
oh my god,
bury their sabers.
No Force Ghost of Ben Solo pissed me off so much.
I was like, what? Oh yeah, so she lights it up, ignites a saber, which is yellow, which is I always pissed about that. So you're the first Jedi who get the yellow saber, and with a black hilt. Yeah, with a black hilt, right? So I'm like, that saber's sick. Well, she did the switchblade thing. I'm like, oh my god, this is like the beginning of new lightsabers. And then I don't see Force Ghost. I just see her and this like fake R2D2 as a BB-8 thing or the rolly ball, whatever. Like, you don't see nothing at the end. It's the Lars Homestead, and you had to show their Force Ghost for you to bury their sabers. Like the ending was so sour to me. I didn't see no Force Ghost.
I would have loved to see Anakin and Ben, Anakin being like, "Hey, you know that I recanted. I didn't get into that dark stuff at the end, right?" And Ben's like, "Yeah, sorry, man." He's like, "You had my skull. That was a weird thing to have." Like, what do you even say to that guy? He's just weird. I'm tired.
I like that it was always smoking. He opened it up and it was always on fire.
He had sense in there, like the essence sticks or whatever, maybe.
Right. It was always on fire. There was always smoke coming out of Vader. His grandfather's helmet. There was always like smoke coming out of it.
It's dragon blood incense rolling. He's got a bunch of katana swords on the wall.
Yeah, but
overall, there was some good stuff in this film. I could say, for me, the moment, like I'd say from the middle on. So let's say they find the crashed Death Star and they have the Wayfinder, or at least they think they do. From that moment on, they really started to like connect things to me.
We have to have a conversation about the word Wayfinder and why it's in this movie and why it doesn't belong in this movie. Because the fact that my wife yelled, "Why isn't that a holocron?" at the screen tells you everything you need to know about what the problem is. And it's that's a damn holocron.
And the funny thing is, this movie came out when Galaxy's Edge, like all this stuff, they did all this payoff, right? They made Luke Skywalker drink milk so they can sell it at their park, right? And then you don't sell the holocron, which you're charging. How much, Ken, are they? Like $50?
Tons.
They're like $50, right? And then you don't even pay that off in the movie.
Wait, what is a Wayfinder anyway? That doesn't have any. That's not in the lore anywhere. It's just stupid.
In
holocron.
The novelization, I believe they do say holocron because he, pretty sure Kylo Ren goes to Mustafar to find the first piece of it. If anybody's in the chat, you can check it out. And
there were only 3.
I'm pretty sure.
There were 3.
But yeah, in the novelization, Ben does find a holocron on Mustafar, and that like kind of starts his journey. The beginning of the movie when he's like running through people and all that stuff, that was supposed to be him going to Mustafar to get the first piece of it. And they rewrote that, and it just kind of like we said, spun out of control from here.
Oh well.
But yeah, that's our crash ending of
It's
the
not like they
Skywalker
stopped
saga.
making Star Wars. They didn't, go in a different direction that we all do like subsequently. So, this is it's this whole sequel trilogy was like it came out like I really still just feel like the urgency was make something when they're alive. Right? That was it. And it didn't pay off because they didn't like have the events happen in the right order with the characters in the right places to take advantage of what actually ended up happening. And I think that as soon as you were going to have Leia training Rey and Carrie Fisher wasn't going to be there, that really made it hard.
And the crazy thing is, though, before she died, she wasn't even written in Episode 9 on Colin Trevorrow's story. She wasn't even in it, which is a criminal itself.
And the thing is that it would make more sense for her to have died when she got like on the bridge of that ship. Yeah. And then have Luke be like, "Oh, I had to show up because you killed my sister," and then he's got to train Rey. I mean, it just makes more sense as a story, and it would have been easier to pull off since Mark Hamill is still thankfully very much with us.
Right. So, as our
silly Disney
anticlimactic ending of the Star Wars Skywalker saga goes, DP, what do we got? What do the listeners have looking forward for us for the next couple of weeks there? What do we got?
We got some more Rebel stuff in the next few weeks to get through and everything. So just be back in the next few weeks, and then we'll actually do some retrospective stuff on just before we get into Clone Wars, Obi-Wan. So that'll be coming up at the end of May. We'll do like a a slight retrospective on like the end of the end of Clone Wars, so we could get prepared for the Obi-Wan show.
That'll be good to do an Obi-Wan debate, kind of how we feel, where he's at this point, and emotionally, I guess, where he's at.
Yeah. So we'll get all that together, and we'll keep you guys informed on. So yeah, definitely keep checking us out. Obviously, every Wednesday here, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Or pay.
Of course, guys. And until next week, guys, this is the way.
This is the way.